Li Han-song blocked their path in a few quick strides. "You're not leaving." Lu Jinyi drew his sword from his waist and pressed it against Li Han-song's neck, tilting his head slightly with a dark expression. "Move another inch closer to her, and I'll slice you into 1,000 pieces." Li Han-song froze. As a fellow martial artist, he knew all too well that this strikingly handsome young man was far more skilled than him. Qiao Wanyan smiled. "What can you do even if you stop me? You don't have the guts to kill me to silence me, and you can't eliminate the evidence by killing Hao. Or perhaps even in this situation, he could entering himself to kill Hao." Li Han-song was momentarily speechless. He truly didn't know what to do. But if he let Qiao Wanyan leave now, he'd be finished. The military honors he'd worked so hard to achieve would slip away. Hao would leave him, and the Hongwu General's estate would become the laughing stock of the capital, even facing censure from officials. Qiao Wanyan's lips curled slightly. The Hongwu General has 3 sons. The eldest is a good-for-nothing who only knows how to eat, drink and have fun. The second was born frail and has been bedridden his whole life. You Ray, the youngest, the pride of your family, having earned the title of top martial scholar at a young age. But if that title is stripped away, what will happen to your parents? With no worthy successor, the Li family has no future. Li Han-song's shirt sank as he realized the gravity of the situation. If Qiao Wanyan exposed this, the Li family would be ruined. Even if they survived the immediate fallout, their future would be bleak. After a moment of silence, Qiao Wanyan offered kindly, "How about I show you a way out?" Li Han-song quickly replied, "What way? Tell me. As long as you don't reveal this, I'll agree to anything." Qiao Wanyan chuckled. "My cousin is a sentimental person. Seeing you like this, she'll be heartbroken. A marriage built on despair would only lead to misery. As her cousin, I can't stand by and watch her throw herself into the fire." Qiao Chuxui, hearing this, was deeply moved. She had always thought Qiao Wanyan was an arrogant, selfish person who looked down on everyone. But now, in times of hardship, true feelings were revealed. Li Han-song asked, "If she doesn't marry, how will my family save face?" "Don't worry, I won't mistreat her. As long as she can accept Hao, I'll give her whatever she wants." Qiao Chuzu soft. "What could you possibly give me that my family doesn't already have? You're a disgusting, filthy creature. I would marry you even if you were royalty. You." This was the gentle, obedient girl he knew. She was a demon. Qiao Wanyan interjected, "How about this? You take the initiative to call off the engagement, and my cousin and it will never mention what we saw today. In a few days, she'll leave for the countryside, claiming she's too heartbroken to stay. Over time, people will forget. By then, everyone would remember the Qiao family second daughter as a loyal, devoted woman who suffered a great injustice. This way Qiao Chuzu's reputation would end." Affect Qiao Wanyan. The capital was always bustling with gossip. Soon enough, who would remember this incident? Li Han-song frowned. "But my family has already sent the betrothal gifts to yours. What reason could we possibly give for suddenly canceling the wedding? You're making this impossible for me." Qiao Wanyan half closed her eyes. "How is it impossible? Young people are often reckless in love, willing to throw everything away for it. If you claim you've found someone you truly love and insist on breaking the engagement, your parents will have no choice but to relent. Even if word gets out, people will just mock you for being young and foolish. Soon enough, no one will care." Li Han-song glanced at How can that work? I've been trying to keep Hao a secret. How can I expose him now? Qiao Wanyan suddenly laughed. "What does Hao have to do with this? The one you've fallen for is my elder sister." Everyone was stunned. Qiao Chuzu stared at Qiao Wanyan in disbelief. "Wanyan, are you saying you want Qiao Yihuan to marry Li Han-song in my place?" Qiao Yuhuan Li Hansong immediately refused. I'd never marry a woman reprimanded by the emperor. She saw disgrace marrying her would ruin my family's reputation. Besides, the crown prince had once publicly declared his affection for Qiao Yihuan. Even if his feelings had faded, marrying her would be like taking someone else's cast-offs. Qiao Wanyan wasn't fazed. Fine, it's your choice. I have no right to interfere. But Li Hansong pressed, but what? Qiao Wanyan didn't answer. Instead, she looked at Hao Hao, who was kneeling nearby. Whether Qiao Yihuan ends up marrying you depends entirely on your efforts. If you make a scene but fail to win her over, I won't bring up the past. Li Hansong asked suspiciously. What about Hao Hao? Qiao Wanyan shrugged. Hao Hao is yours. As long as you break off the engagement as I've said, you can do whatever you want with him. Hao Hao froze, staring at her in shock. Second, miss you. You promised to help me. You said you'd help me escape and save my family. Qiao Wanyan smiled faintly. Nonsense. When did Eva promise you that? Before today we'd never even met. Hao Hao collapsed to the ground as if struck by lightning, unable to accept the reality before him. Li Hansong now understood Hao Hao had indeed sought out Qiao Wanyan beforehand. This entire scene was an accidental encounter but a carefully laid trap, one he'd walked right into. What a scheming woman. She was using him to deal with her elder sister, then discarding Hao Hao like trash. If I break off the engagement with your cousin and pursue your elder sister, won't your family lose face too? Qiao Wanyan shook her head. How? Our family would never agree. My father values reputation too much to let your family tarnish ours. You're the one who's young and reckless, stubbornly pursuing my sister. The disgrace is yours alone. What does it have to do with the Qiao family? Qiao Wanyan stepped closer and moved the sword away from his neck. The smile on her face faded, replaced by an inscrutable gaze. Choose. Lose Hao Hao, your position and your uncle's career, or lose your own dignity. The decision is yours. After a long silence, Li Hansong finally nodded. I agree. As long as you don't expose Hao Hao or report my uncle and me, I'll do whatever you say. Qiao Wanyan smiled in satisfaction. Hao Hao will stay with me for a while. Don't look at me like that. Given how much we despise each other, how could I possibly trust you completely? Li Hansong gritted his teeth. Scheming witch. Qiao Wanyan was bothered. Thank you for the compliment. Li Hansong, seeing Hao Hao's despondent expression, felt a pang of worry. I told you before, no one in this world will truly help you except me. You begged her, and now she's tossing you aside. Consider this, Allison. Hao Hao's hands trembled slightly, his lips curling into a bitter smile that tugged at the heartstrings. He said nothing, so Li Hansong didn't press further. Don't be afraid, I'll come for you soon. Li Hansong then turned to Qiao Wanyan. I'll do as you've asked, but you must not harm Hao Hao. Treat him well, no bullying. Qiao Wanyan only smiled, offering no reply. Li Hansong knew he was in no position to argue. After straightening his clothes, he took one last look at Hao Hao's retreating figure and left. Qiao Wanyan found it amusing. Even in dire straits, he was still worried about Hao Hao's safety. Qiao Yihuan was the chosen one of fate. Even if Hao Hao didn't die by her hands, paving her way with blood, his fate wouldn't be much better. Since he dared to scheme against the Qiao family, how could she let Li Hansong off unscathed? The entire Hongwu general's estate would suffer. Xiuan hurried to the door, glanced around, and nodded to those inside. Qiao Wanyan lowered her eyes. Aren't you touched? Hao Hao stood up, his earlier sorrow now here to be seen. His expression was neutral, but there was no trace of sadness in his eyes. Meeting her gaze, he said, if Eveline does 1,000 evil deeds and one good one, should I consider him a good person? Should I forget all the past grievances? Qiao Wanyan's lips curved into a radiant smile. Breathtakingly beautiful. There's no such thing as good or bad. People only differing standpoints. A villain might have a kind side, treating his family well even as he harms others. But could a good person truly never make a mistake? How fell silent. He felt this was wrong but couldn't find the words to refute it. Second misspeaks wisely. I've learned much. After a pause he added, but earlier, even I almost believed I'd been used and discarded. Why go through such an elaborate ruse? Instead of simply rescuing me from him? Qiao Wanyan replied without this. Would he have taken it seriously? With you in my hands, he's desperate to finish his task and bring you back. She stepped closer. Besides, I never mistreat those who work for me. Otherwise, she would end Thave loyal followers, like Zelon or the tight-lipped, dedicated staff of Yongning Pavilion. A small reward to secure their loyalty was a worthwhile trade. There was no need to withhold favors and risk betrayal. If money could buy them, who could outbid her? As Qiao Wanyan turned to leave, her gaze lingered on Lu Jinyi. She frowned, studying him intently. How to describe it? Lu Jinyi's expression was filled with a resentment and awkwardness she'd never seen before. Lu Jinyi met her stare without flinching. I work for you too. Why do you always hit me? After a moment of silence, Qiao Wanyan suddenly laughed. She beckoned him closer and lightly patted his cheek. Have you ever wondered why I don't fit anyone else? Maybe because you deserve it. With that, she pushed him aside and walked away. Xiao Hao glanced at Lu Jinyi, then followed silently. He wandered the streets penniless. By chance, as he passed Changhua Liuan, Zhang Qian stopped dead in his tracks, eyes wide. Dressed so provocatively. Was Qiao Wanyan keeping a lover now? His legs moved faster than his brain, watching the carriage disappear. But if she was this bold, hands behind his back, when they passed the minister's residence. If I'm going to the countryside anyway, that way I'd at least keep my reputation. Qiao Chuxui quickly shook her head. No, that's not what I meant. Qiao Wanyan closed her eyes again, uninterested in the fool's words. Qiao Chuxu's suggestion wasn't bad, but if they went that route, how would Li Hansong pursue Qiao Yuhuan? Either way, she could sit back and enjoy the show. As for Qiao Chuxu's humiliation, that was her problem alone. Qiao Wanyan couldn't care less. Li Hansong was already there. In the main hall, Li Hansong bowed. Uncle, Aunt, I know my actions are improper. Li Hansong continued some time ago. Lady Wei scolded, this is outrageous. Li Hansong inwardly rolled his eyes. Harm? Have you thought this through? Is this your parents' wish? Li Hansong. Qiao Qingren snorted. Fine. If that's your decision. Li Hansong bowed deeply and left. As he passed the two at the door. I've been so worried. Mother, I'm fine. Qiao Qingren asked. Qiao Qingren nodded repeatedly. Good. Who was he referring to? Qiao Wanyan smiled. My elder sister. Qiao Qingren and his wife were stunned. Isn't this still a loss for our family? Qiao Wanyan's expression turned cold, her voice emotionless. Uncle, when trouble arises he flicked his sleeve. No manners. Qiao Wanyan clicked her tongue. Certain lie not as proper as Chu Zhu, who got pregnant before marriage. What excellent upbringing. Wanyan. Qiao Chuxu's face went white. Qiao Wanyan glanced at her. Instead of nitpicking, uncle and aunt should focus on sending Chu Zhu to the countryside, claiming she's too heartbroken to stay. Don't push your luck. Without another word she left, ignoring their furious expressions. Qiao Qingren fumed. That ill-mannered girl. And it's all because of you that I've lost face. Qiao Chuxui hung her head silent. Qiao Qingren Sanger flared. Lock her in her room. Pack her things, she's leaving in a few days. Though banished, Qiao Chuzu was upset. The countryside might be harsh, but she'd be with her beloved Yulang. No hardship could outweigh that joy. But how could she get word to him? Lady Wei led Qiao Chuzu out of the hall. Stay in the countryside for now. I'll bring you back when things calm down. Your father isn't angry at you. He's taking it out on you because of Wanyan. Qiao Chuzu smiled faint lie. I didn't blame him. Mother. Good. Earlier. The shopkeeper's wife from Yunji and Yancy sent over some new goods for regular customers too. Preview. It picked some for you. See if you like them. Kiao Chukshu's eyes lit up. Yunji and Yancy? That was Yu Lang's shop. In the carriage, Ziyuan comforted softly. Don't be angry, miss. The second branch is full of fools. No need to waste your breath. Kiao Wanyan amused Lai popped a candied fruit into Ziyuan's mouth. I'm not angry. Uncles, they won. Who should be furious? It's noon, let's eat. Should we go to Moonlight Pavilion? Kiao Wanyan gazed idly at the street scenes outside, spotting a young girl happily eating noodles at a roadside stall. She called, "Stop the carriage." The carriage halted smoothly. Yun Yao, the girl, was thoroughly enjoying her meal. Youth made it easy to find joy in simple pleasures, and her delight was evident in her bright, curved eyes. Sister Ayan, what are you doing here? Xialan immediately wiped down a chair and table with a handkerchief before helping Kiao Wanyan sit. Is it good? Yun Yao nodded vigorously. Delicious. I've eaten here 3 days in a row. The capital stew big I can. Try all the tasty food. Kiao Wanyan smiled. Xialan, order me a bowl. Instead of heading straight to the vendor, Xialan fetched a pair of silver chopsticks and a snow-patterned porcelain bowl from the carriage. 1 bowl of Yonkin noodles, served in this. Wait, a man's voice rang out, and a vaguely familiar figure approached. Ho Yu bowed. Second miss. What a coincidence meeting you here. Are you here for the noodles? Xialan rolled her eyes. Obviously. Shou Yu remained unruffled. This stall's noodles are decent but not authentic. If you'd like, I can make you a proper bowl myself. Without waiting for a response, he paid the vendor and took over the cooking. Soon a well-presented bowl of noodles was placed before Kiao Wanyan. Ho Yu oozed charm, his every move dripping with the greasiness of almond trying too hard. Second miss, please try my handiwork. My mother was famous for her noodles, and I learned from her to someday cook for my wife. Not that I'm implying anything, I just wanted to showcase my skills for you. Kiao Wanyan eyed the noodles. They looked and smelled appetizing, but her appetite had vanished. His antics had killed it. Just as she set down her chopsticks, a shadow fell over the table. She looked up to see the crown prince. Her lips parted in surprise, but before she could speak, Ziyu glanced at the noodles and then at Ho Yu. Ho Yu gulped. The man before him was clearly noble, but his aura was overwhelming. These noodles look well made. You cooked them yourself? Shou Yu nodded nervously. Why, yes, I did. Ziyu's tone was calm. Then make 100 more. I'd like to treat the city patrol. Shou Yu dropped to his knees. Your Highness? This was the crown prince? Seeing Jing Yuan kneeling on the ground, his body trembling slightly as he stammered through his words, the man said coldly, "What are you standing there for? Go and do it." Shou Yu felt like a mute swallowing bitter herbs, unable to voice his suffering. At this moment, he had no choice but to grit his teeth and respond, then rise to make the noodles. As his hands worked the dough, his mind reeled at the thought of preparing 100 bowls. He nearly blacked out from despair, wishing he had stayed home today. Ziyu glanced subtly at Kiao Wanyan before gracefully walking to the other side of the square table and sitting down with an air of nobility. Yun Yao blinked her round, almond-shaped eyes, glancing at Kiao Wanyan and then stealing a peek at the crown prince. She could shake the feeling that the atmosphere was strangely tense, weighing on her uncomfortably. Something was off. Kiao Wanyan set down her chopsticks, leaving the noodles in her bowl untouched. She stood up, her tone respectful yet distant. Your Highness is kind-hearted. Since you wish to reward the city patrol guards, I shouldn't take up space here. I'll take my leave now. With that, she gave a slight curtsy, her voice as light as the gentlest spring breeze. Yet no matter how one listened, there was no warmth in her words. Your Highness, enjoy your meal. After speaking, she turned to leave, heading toward her carriage. Ziyu instinctively rose to his feet. Wait. A flicker of mockery flashed deep in Kiao Wanyan sais, though her expression remained puzzled as she turned back. Does your highness have something else to discuss? If not, this subject wishes to return for her meal. He Ziyu fell silent for a moment, seeing Kiao Wanyan tilt her head slightly, as if confused, and prepared to board the carriage. He finally spoke. Since I interrupted your meal, it's only right that I compensate you. How about Ming Yu Lu? There was a hint of hope in his voice, though none of it showed on his face. Jing Yuan stole a glance at his master's expression. Ever since the imperial exams, when they'd seen Zhu Shujian using brushes and ink, stones gifted by the second young miss, the crown prince's mood had darkened for days. The entire Eastern Palace had been on edge, fearing reprimands from their usually lenient lord. Then after the second young miss visited the Eastern Palace with the Western Mausoleum heir, she began deliberately avoiding the crown prince. After disembarking from the pleasure boat, she had acted as if she didn't know him, not even sparing him a glance. And now it was the same. Even an outsider like Jing Yuan could see that the second young miss was deliberately avoiding the crown prince. How could his highness, the person involved, not notice? Look at him now, speaking before thinking. Kiao Wanyan replied softly. There's no need for your highness to trouble yourself. I have plenty of time. Unlike your highness, whose schedule is undoubtedly packed, I wouldn't dare waste your precious time. Jing Yuan felt as if an invisible arrow had struck his master's chest. No blood was shed, but the internal injury was severe. The carriage passed right in front of He Ziyu, who stood frozen for a long moment. By the time he regained his composure, the carriage was already far away, its silhouette disappearing from sight. He was enthused to this her blatant coldness and formality. In his memory, she had always greeted him with a sweet smile, calling him your highness, in that cheerful tone. But now, she was angry that he had ignored and slighted her that day at the Eastern Palace. He suddenly let out a scoff. Jing Yuan's face filled with horror. Had his highness gone mad from anger? Why, your highness, are you all right? The second young miss didn't mean to reject you. She simply knows how busy you are as the crown prince and didn't want to disturb your duties. Please don't take it to heart. He Ziyu Stone was as gentle as a spring breeze. She cares about me. That's why she read his words from that day at the Eastern Palace and deliberately brought them up now. Jing Yuan, had he lost his mind? He said to Mingyu Lu. The direction she had left in was toward the minister's residence, but toward Mingyu Lu. She loved the food there and was undoubtedly heading there for her meal. She was waiting for him to follow and coax her. Kiao Wanyan had no idea of He Ziyu's elaborate assumptions, but she was indeed heading to Mingyu Lu for a meal. In the main hall of Mingyu Lu, the manager was about to escort Kiao Wanyan to a private room when she turned and noticed someone at the entrance. What a coincidence. Here for a meal? Zhu Shujian nodded slightly. Today, I learned that I'll be entering the Imperial Academy in 3 days as a tutor. Though the position is humble, I'm deeply grateful for His Majesty's grace. So, I thought I'd treat myself to a meal here to celebrate. Kiao Wanyan glanced at his empty surroundings. Just you? That's hardly a celebration. Zhu Shujian looked awkward. Usually composed and refined, he now sped his hands together sheepishly. An unexpectedly endearing sight. Yet it didn't seem out of place on him. Instead, it piqued one's curiosity. I've been in the capital for a while, but I haven't made any friends. His voice grew quieter toward the end. Zhu Shujian lowered his gaze. Perhaps my personality isn't appealing. The focused soul lie on my studies, neglecting everything else. Now, I can only celebrate by myself. Kiao Wanyan smiled. Then let's celebrate together. Consider it my thanks for the painting you did for me last time. Zhu Shujian looked up. Start led. That would be appropriate. The second young miss is noble born, while I'm merely ordinary. How could I trouble you to celebrate with me? Yan Yao pouted. Hurry up and follow us. Sister Yan has little patience. If you dawdle, she might change her mind. Qiao Wanyan chuckled and lightly tapped her forehead. A heavy little patience? Yan Yao grinned. I'm joking. Don't be angry, Sister Yan. With that, she scampered upstairs. Zhu Shujian smiled faintly. Then I'll trouble the second young miss. Qiao Wanyan said, in a city this large, our meeting is fate. No need for formalities, come along. She turned and went upstairs. Zhu Shujian simply smiled. It was en fate. He had come here deliberately. What was there to celebrate? About auditor position? It was nothing more than a dead-end posting. The second young miss had just coincidentally met the crown prince at the noodle stall. Now, he was coincidentally meeting her here, following the crown prince's example. At that moment, a servant approached Zhu Shujian, who hadn't yet ascended the stairs, and whispered in his ear. Zhu Shujian's lips curved into a faint smile, though there was a hint of amusement and mockery in it. Well then, let the crown prince join in the celebration. This was getting interesting, though it was meant to be a celebration for Zhu Shujian. The dishes ordered were all Qiao Wanyan's favorites. Order whatever else you'd like. My treat today. The manager handed the menu to Zhu Shujian, but he declined. The second young miss was born with a golden spoon. Your tastes are naturally refined. As someone of humble origins, I'm unfamiliar with the capital delicacies. I'll gladly eat whatever you order. This is already a great honor. Qiao Wanyan had heard countless flattering words in her life, and she could always tell sincerity from falsehood. Most were 9 parts fake, 1 part real. But when such words came from Zhu Shujian, they sounded utterly genuine, heartfelt and sincere. That's why Qiao Wanyan enjoyed listening to Zhu Shujian speak and why she admired his paintings. I heard this year's top scholar is your cousin. The Qiao family must be very proud. Qiao Wanyan rubbed her teacup absently. Yes, very proud. She was in particular close to Qiao Jibai. In her memory, he was a quiet presence, always standing on the sidelines during family gatherings as if he didn't belong. But now, her father often invited him over for meals, and even her mother praised him as talented and scholarly. She didn't TDS like him. Among the Qiao family's younger generation, he was the one she found most agreeable. Zhu Shujian didn't tempt her disinterest. Though he hadn't known her long, he understood that the second young miss was a self-centered person. Being happy for her cousin didn't suit her. I heard the 10th princess' new restaurant is about to open. Before the official launch, she's hosting a real event. Since you were close to her, you must have been invited. Qiao Wanyan took a sip of tea and looked at him. Also, Zhu Shujian, the 10th princess, also extended the invitation to me, but it's not because we were close. She simply knows my paintings are passable and wants me to create one for the event. Yan Yao suddenly raised her hand. That was me. She explained. I recommended you. Sister Baozhu said she wanted to invite friends to experience the trial event and hotbed to capture the day shoy in a painting. I told her your work is exceptional. Even Sister Yan praised it. So she invited you. Zhu Shujian understood now. So that show it happened. This little girl was truly delightful. Brother Zhu. The term echoed in his mind. As he glanced at Qiao Wanyan, his ambiguous expression made her uneasy. What are you thinking? Zhu Shujian averted his gaze, seemingly hesitant. Speak up. I hate dithering. Zhu Shujian took a deep breath and forced himself to say, I'm not sure if I should mention this, but it feels wrong to keep it from you. Qiao Wanyan had no patience for such theatrics. Then don't say it. Zhu Shujian. Yan Yao, however, was burning with curiosity. If she didn't hear what he had to say, she'd be up all night wondering. What is it? Brother Zhu, tell us. I hate half-finished sentences. Zhu Shujian glanced at Qiao Wanyan before speaking solemnly. Though it's improper for me to say this, I do feel guilty keeping it from you after all your kindness. He seemed to steal himself. A few days ago, I ran into the Western Mausoleum, at Adia House. He was drunk, reeking of alcohol and spouting nonsense. Kia Wanyan's expression shifted. If it concerned her, Zhu Shujian wouldn't bring it up casually. What did he say? Zhu Shujian hesitated. He said you fancied him and claimed that if he ordered you to slap me, you do it twice, that you obey him without question. Kia Wanyan's face darkened. Zhu Shujian immediately stood and swore, I beg your forgiveness. Second young miss, this isn't a fabrication. I heard it myself. If I'm a ling, may lightning strike me dead. His solemn oath left no room for doubt. Compared to Shen Chai's standing in Kiao Wanyan's mind, Zhu Shujian's vow carried more weight. If it had been about anyone else, she might have dismissed it, but if it was Shen Chai, she believed it without question. Not that Zhu Shujian was lying. Shen Chai had indeed said those things. He was merely repeating them. Kia Wanyan gritted her teeth. What else did he say? Zhu Shujian looked troubled. Kia Wanyan said cold lie. I've treated you well. And you Ray my father student. You should know. What's appropriate to say now? Zhu Shujian sighed. Since you insist, I dare not refuse. The heir also said my paintings are mediocre and that you only admire them because your taste is equally unrefined. He claimed any artist from Western Mausoleum could outdo me and that you. He trailed off. Kia Wanyan gripped her teacup. That a Javi no taste? Zhu Shujian hurriedly said, don't be angry. Second young miss, he was drunk and rambling. I shouldn't they've repeated such nonsense. He knelt. Please forgive me. Kia Wanyan sneered. Iknu Shen Chai was no good, but I didn't realize he was this vile. Zhu Shujian inwardly smirked. Even brothers kept accounts clear, let alone distant cousins. If Shen Chai came looking for trouble, he should end complain about being street abbed in the back. It might not be honorable, but dealing with a madman like him required underhanded tactics. Get up. This isn't your fault. Zhu Shujian rose. Don't be upset. Second young miss, I've wondered why the heir would insult me like this. Perhaps it's because you ignored him on the pleasure boat, and he took his frustration out on me for spending so much time with you. He added, I'll avoid him in the future, and you should steer clear of him when he's drunk, to spare yourself the anger. The door burst open. Zhu Shujian, you are nothing but a rotten grape, full of sour schemes. Zhu Shujian feigned surprise, though he quickly schooled his expression into one of resignation. Your Highness, I've spoken no lies. Everything I said is true. As a man, one should own up to their words, even if spoken drunk. There's truth in wine. Shen Chai laughed coldly, his smirk sinister. He'd been drinking tea in a nearby tea house when he spotted familiar figures at Ming Yulu's entrance. Not wanting Zhu Shujian to monopolize the opportunity, he dorried over only to hear the weasel bad-mouthing him behind his back. Sure, he'd said those things, but this was taking it too far. What a snake. Before, he only thought Zhu Shujian was calculating and hard to read, always composed and polite, calm in crises, quick to find solutions, a capable but restrained man. Now he could sum up Zhu Shujian in one word: scum. How could someone be this shameless? Kia Wanyan, who do you believe, him or me? Before she could answer, Zhu Shujian interjected. Must you pressure the second young miss like a child? She's already upset. If I were you, I'd apologize for my drunken nonsense. If you deny it, swear on heaven you never said those things. If you didn't, no harm done. If you did, may lightning strike you dead. Shen Chai didn't believe in oaths. If they worked, his mother wouldn't have died, and villains wouldn't thrive. He raised his right hand and swore, I swear I never said those things. If it did, may lightning. Zhu Shujian cut him off. How utterly shameless. Shen Che didn't reply. Instead, he strode forward and punched Zhu Shujian square in the face before anyone could react. Zhu Shujian took the hit without resistance. Yan Yao gasped. Wow! What a clean direct punch. Her bright eyes sparkled as she watched Zhu Shujian, eager to see how he'd retaliate, perhaps with an equally swift punch of his own. But Zhu Shujian didn't fight back. He touched his reddened cheek and turned to Qiao Wanyan, his voice trembling. Second young miss. He hit me. Shen Che's fury burned hotter. Yan Yao was speechless. Huh? The heir must be furious to resort to violence. Qiao Wanyan had no intention of defending Zhu Shujian, as long as Shen Che didn't damage his arms or hands. She couldn't care less if they brawled, but since it was Shen Che, her most aged person, she could let it slide. What kind of monster skins people alive? She flung her teacup at him. Oops, my hand slipped. Shen Che hadn't expected her to intervene. He'd been focused on beating Zhu Shujian to a pulp. If the coward wanted to play the victim, he'd give him a real reason to whine. But the teacup came out of nowhere, striking his forehead before he could react. The impact wasn't heavy, but it broke his skin. A trickle of blood ran down his pale face, the stark contrast lending him a eerie, captivating beauty. His eyes, sharp and mocking, locked onto Qiao Wanyan with a mix of resentment and defiance. Hugh arrived at that moment, witnessing Qiao Wanyan's defense of Zhu Shujian in full. His gaze darkened as he stared at Zhu Shujian, finding him unbearably irritating. Your servant greets the crown prince. Zhu Shujian was the first to notice him, bowing with his bruised face. Qiao Wanyan didn't bow, nor did Shen Che. Only Yan Yao performed a quick curtsy. Hugh walked in expressionlessly, glancing at the blood on Shen Che's forehead. Why are you standing there? Take the heir away to tend to his wound. Su Fei whispered, Your Highness, let's go. Shen Che didn't move, his eyes fixed on Qiao Wanyan as the blood dripped. If she could care about Zhu Shujian, why not him? What was he lacking that made her despise him from the very first meeting? His pride in her blatant favoritism made him refuse to leave. He needed to understand why she treated him with such disdain. He'd been different with her. Unlike other beauties, he hadn't wanted to skin her and preserve her. So why? Why was she different with him too? But only in her impatience and disgust? After a long silence, Shen Che turned and left without a word. Su Fei had no idea what his master was thinking, but he was relieved they were leaving without further chaos. Qiao Wanyan said to Yan Yao, Do you have any Yuan ointment with you? Yan Yao rummaged through her pouch and pulled out a small vial. Here. Good thing I didn't throw it away last time. Qiao Wanyan handed it to Zhu Shujian. This will reduce swelling and bruising quickly. Showing up at the Imperial Academy with a bruised face would be appropriate. Zhu Shujian glanced subtly at the crown prince's expression, calm and unreadable, as if indifferent. But the gaze directed at him was seething with suppressed fury. Zhu Shujian accepted the ointment. Ziyu Shan's clenched tightly in his sleeves, though his face remained composed. Thank you for your kindness. Second young miss. Ziyu's blood boiled. The feeling of being ignored nearly shattered his facade. Ashidao flickered across his eyes before he turned to leave. Just as he reached the door, a clear, melodious voice called out, Your Highness, are you leaving already? Hugh paused but didn't turn back. Qiao Wanyan spoke softly, her voice gentle and melodious. If Your Highness does mend, we could dine together. Ziyu turned his head, expressionless. You saved my life. Since you've invited me, I naturally won't refuse. With that, he took a seat on the other side of the table. A faint smile played on Qiao Wanyan's lips as she added, However, I've already promised Zhu Shujian today. This meal is to celebrate his appointment as an assistant instructor at the Imperial Academy. Your Highness won't mend, will you? Hugh's expression stiffened slightly, his jaw tightening imperceptibly. Of course not. After much delay, He's finally secured a position. He should devote himself to serving the country and not disappoint the court's expectations. Zhu Shujian bowed respectfully. This humble official will spare no effort. Your Highness need not worry. He smiled, though the warmth didn't reach his eyes. The dishes were soon served. The restaurant manager, surprised by the sudden appearance of another distinguished guest, found him vaguely familiar, but could NT quite place him. With a polite smile, the manager personally arranged the dishes on the table. Second young miss, all the dishes are here. This is our new specialty. Longjing tea shrimp compliments of the house. As thanks for your patronage over the years. The manager had rehearsed this speech meticulously and felt a surge of pride at delivering it so smoothly. Take that, wife who says I can't speak well. He waited expectantly for the second young miss response, but the next moment, a strong hand yanked him backward by the collar, nearly sending him stumbling. Frowning, he was about to reprimand the offender when he caught sight of the man's luxurious attire. Though he could see his face clearly, the man's noble bearing was unmistakable. Shen Che took a seat at the table. The blood that had stained his forehead earlier was now gone, replaced by a bandage that made him look like a fragile, sickly beauty. Second young miss, you don't mind if I join you, do you? If Zhu Shujian can play the humble scholar, so can I. Qiao Wanyan's tone was cool, her expression indifferent. I do mind. Shen Che. Zhu Shujian could suppress a law, or perhaps he didn't try to before. Quickly composing himself, though Hu's mood had been sour, seeing Shen Che rebuffed lightened his spirits somewhat. Shen Che gritted his teeth. Young Master Zhu surely does Timan, does he? My earlier actions were unintentional. Can you forgive me? Let's see how he refuses. Without looking petty, Zhu Shujian replied mildly. While I ought to forgive your Highness' impulsive strike, the second young miss has already graciously avenged me. How could I disregard her kindness and pretend otherwise? His words were flawless, subtly flattering Qiao Wanyan, but the effect was immediate. His brief respite from irritation vanished. Zhu Shujian wore a humble yet faintly triumphant smile, a contradiction that suited him perfectly. If you insist on intruding, enjoy the frustration. Qiao Wanyan glanced at the menace expressions before signaling Ziyuan, who stepped forward to pour her a cup of wine. She raised the cup. Your Highness, though this meal celebrates Zhu Shujian's appointment, the first toast is for you. Hu was taken aback. After a pause, he clinked his cup against hers, failing to notice that hers was held higher, a subtle dominance. But Qiao Wanyan did. To your Highness' unfathomable mind, and for ignoring me at the Eastern Palace that day. She drained the cup in one go. Jing Yuan, Hu's attendant, nearly gasped. Such bluntness bordered on disrespect, punishable if spoken by anyone else. But a glance at his master revealed no anger, only satisfaction. Hu finished his wine, wanting to respond but holding back in front of outsiders, especially Zhu Shujian, whom he deemed an upstart. Qiao Wanyan's directness showed she cared little for the other two men. She still holds me in her heart. Yu thought. Her outburst is just girl's inability to hide her feelings. Qiao Wanyan peeked at him, their eyes meeting briefly before she looked away. Her cheeks tinged pink. Fool. A slap, then a sweet date, another slap. Another date. How does it feel to be tossed about by emotions? Zhu Shujian's smile remained gentle, his face unreadable despite the storm beneath. He poured out another cup and stood. This humble official also toasts your Highness first. It's an honor to dine with you. Hu, unwilling to seem petty, accepted. Zhu Shujian poured it again. This cup is for the second young miss. Your kindness in celebrating me and defending me is unforgettable. Though I didn't know how to repay you, rest assured any command from you, and I'll gladly give my life. Hu tilted his head slightly, and Jing Yuan swiftly subbed Qiao Wanyan's cup with his master's. He Zi took the cup meant for her. She doesn't handle wine well. I'll drink for her. Zhu Shujian smiled. What fortune for the second young miss and for me. He drank deeply, then poured a third cup. This one is still for the second young miss. To thank you for saving my life. A single cup can't repay such a debt, but I me too dull to know how else to express my gratitude. Yet your highness is right, so I'll drink 2 cups myself, sparing the second young miss from overindulging. He downed 2 more cups, his cheeks flushing like dawn's first light, his eyes misty and endearingly dazed. Qia Wanyan watched him, thinking that if Zhu Shujian ever sold his charm, wealthy ladies would clamor to elevate him. He Ziyu's grip on his cup turned his knuckles white. Crack. The sound came not from He Ziyu's cup but from Shen Chei's, crushed in his hand after being ignored. Qia Wanyan glanced at him but paid no further attention. You love ruining moods? Then savor the taste of being invisible. The manager, still present, hurried to replace the cup, but Zhu Shujian intercepted it, filling 2 cups for himself. His voice was soft, feigning drunk enzes. This toast is for the priceless ink set the second young miss gifted me. Without it, I might not have excelled in the exams or stood out to his majesty. He drank both cups in quick succession, then poured again. And this one is still for the second young miss for your peerless beauty, which inspired my finest painting, past or future. Qia Wanyan's lips curled slightly, her pleasure unmistakable. Shen Chei's face darkened. Drunk? This 1,000-cup connoisseur is faking it. But he dared not expose Zhu Shujian's true identity or their history. He Ziyu's voice was icy. You ray drunk. Jing Yuan, escort him to rest. Zhu Shujian shook his head. Thank you, your highness, but I'm not drunk. The second young miss arranged this celebration, and I'd hate to spoil her mood. To win a girl's heart, play the humble admirer. These 2 one to proud, the other to clueless can't compete. He ignored him, turning to Qia Wanyan. You decide. Zhu Shujian gazed at her earnestly, his eyes free of impropriety. She'd never send me away. After a long look at the prince, Qia Wanyan said gently, go rest. Drunkenness harms the mind, and you must end your duties at the Imperial Academy. Zhu Shujian blinked, then nodded obediently. As you wish. He sipped his wine, not deigning to watch Zhu Shujian leave. Shen Chei stood abruptly. I just read an errand. I'll take my leave. He strode out thinking. Zhu Shujian's shamelessness is a threat, but no concern. The love potion must be hastened. Once it's ready, she'll adore me unconditionally, even defy the world to follow me to Xiling. No dungeon for her, I'll wed her openly, parading my prize. But for now, Zhu Shujian has crossed the line. The room fell silent. Yun Yao, having secretly drunk too much, was already passed out on the table. Qia Wanyan ordered Ziyuan take her home. With Yun Yao carried out, only the murmur of the street outside filled the quiet. He Ziyu picked up jade white chopsticks and placed 80 shrimp in her bowl. It read this dish in Jiangnan. It's seasoned, see if you like it. Qia Wanyan eyed the shrimp, then drew a handkerchief from her sleeve. You left this at the Eastern Palace last year. I meant to return it but forgot. Since I have it today, here it is. She glanced but didn't take it. Dispose of it, your highness. The fabric is outdated. He froze, hand hovering midair, before retracting it. Then she reached out, confused. He handed it back. She inhaled the handkerchief, as sandalwood scent strong, as if it had lingered in a sandalwood-rich space for long. The Eastern Palace study smells like this. The silk tore easily in her hands. Jing Yuan nearly choked. What now? It meant for you to discard it. If you kept it, rumors of an affair might spread. He frowned. If she likes me, why fear gossip? You are busy, your highness. I'd hate to trouble you. She emphasized busy, her tone laced with sarcasm, oddly pleasing to his ears. He signaled Jing Yuan, who produced an exquisite Lai carved golden Nanmu box. Even the box was a masterpiece, its craftsmanship hinting at months of labor. Qiao Wanyan's lips parted slightly, her gaze riveted. He opened it, revealing a hairpin. Butterflies fro-licking among gem-studded flowers. This is the butterflies among blossoms gold. Hairpin, the silver workshop spent months crafting it. I'd intended it for the Empress' birthday, but it suits you better. Jing Yuan arched a brow. For the Empress? She's never worn gold hairpins, prefers king fisher feathers, and the prince designed this himself. Rushing the workshop, never mentioned Her Majesty. Ziyu noted her sparkling eyes and parted lips. Do you like it? She lowered her lashes. I didn't understand. What? I don't like it. He stiffened. Why? She turned away, her voice tinged with sorrow. What a medo you, Your Highness? A cat you pamper when pleased, then ignore when bored. His heart stirred, as if a pebble had dropped into still waters. Like a cherished kitten, sulking over neglect. His voice softened. Why the tears? She pouted, pinching her thigh under the table to summon tears. Crying's never been my forte, but this trick works. Tears fell like pearls, her delicate frame trembling, a flower battered by rain, evoking guilt in any beholder. You lied at the hunting grounds. You said you didn't TDS like me, yet you let me suffer. If you knew I admired you, why torment me? A sob. I was greedy to hope for what was never mine. Her raw honesty disarmed him. Such innocence. He reached to dry her tears, but Chuck led unintentionally. She looked up, and he schooled his face into solemnity. Flustered, before he could explain, she snatched the handkerchief and threw it in his face. Jing Yuan's shirt nearly stopped. How dare you disrespect His Highness? Qiao Wanyan cried harder. Jing Yuan's doom was sealed. His master's glare said it all. Damned if I scold, damned if I don't. She fumed and upset. Can't you distinguish between disrespect and a maiden speak? Jing Yuan swallowed. This lowly one was blind. Punish me, Your Highness? Blind? More like doomed. Happy mood equals peak. Bad mood equals disrespect. Who can tell? Apologize. Qiao Wanyan met Jing Yuan's eyes, her smirk clear. He sighed. Second young miss, forgive me. She murmured if apologies sufficed. Why have courts? He now free to indulge her. Said if you're still angry, hit him. His face won't hurt your hand. Jing Yuan, this job isn't for humans. My salary's not worth this. Where were these antics when the other two were here? I miss Sushujian. He presented his cheek miserably. Outside, chatter drifted through the window. Absurd. The martial arts champion, already betrothed to Miss Chuxui, broke it off for love at first sight. Ridiculous. And his love is the Qiao family cell-dest daughter, supposedly ill in the countryside. Qiao Wanyan watched Ziyu's face tighten. I must see her, he blurted, startling himself. A sharp pain lanced his skull, a foreign urge overwhelming him. Find Yuhuan, go to her. The pain faded, leaving exhaustion. Wanyan, I must go. After he left, silence reigned. Qiao Wanyan stared at the abandoned hairpin, then walked to the window and tossed it into the street. Watching the scramble below, did the heavens just interfere? If even destiny is desperate, Yihuan's time must be near. She smirked at the sky, her eyes cold. Once the heaven's favorite is gone, the crown princess's seat is mine. She wiped her tears, feeling no sorrow, only regret for wasted theatrics. Pity. Meanwhile, at the Yuzhu courier station, Yanli reclined, eyes closed, as the left envoy of the martial world stop faction, Zuanfeng, knelt before him. Orchid, dew, moonvine, and cloud dream dendrobium are mutually toxic. Yet the Xiling prince is secret lie, buying them under aliases. Strange. Investigating further, I found these ingredients are used for a poison, the love goo. Yanli's phoenix eyes lifted slightly. The envoy continued. The victim falls ira vocably in love with the first person they see upon waking. The West Ling heir was collecting rare medicinal herbs but didn't dare to buy them openly. Instead, he anonymously purchased them at high prices on the black market and even enlisted Suen Feng to gather these herbs. Suen Feng was renowned in the martial world, but his most important trait was his trustworthiness. When hiring Suen Feng, there was no need to worry about information leaks. Even if the emperor himself came knocking, Suen Feng wouldn't utter a single word. This was one of the reasons why his name carried such weight in the martial world. But who would have thought that Suen Feng's true master was Prince Jing? As for the Westling heir, their employer, of course, they had to report this to Prince Jing. Yan Li's expression was icy, his brows furrowed as if coated with a layer of frost. Love poison? The left envoy added. This subordinate is merely speculating. There may be other uses for these herbs, but after searching through countless texts, I found no other explanations. Thus, I dared to report this to your highness. The windows were tightly shut, yet the damp chill of the rainy night outside still seeped in. Yan Li stood up, his deep eyes like unfathomable pools. Preparethekirage, where turn to Thekapal. Mo Hao immediately acknowledged the order, though inwardly, he was puzzled. It's still pouring outside and the plan to wait for the rain to stop before continuing the journey. Meanwhile, Shou Yu had just finished making 100 bowls of plain noodles and collapsed onto the floor, utterly exhausted. His father searched for him for a long time before finally finding him, shocked to see his son wasting time making noodles. He dragged him aside exasperated. How can you have the leisure to make noodles at Atimi like this? With so many imperial guards around, could it be that the Qiao family has discovered your secret and plans to arrest you? Shou Yu was too tired to speak and only shook his head. His father, however, had urgent matters to discuss. Leaning in, he whispered something into Shou Yu's ear. Instant lie. Shou Yu jolted as if struck by lightning, his exhaustion replaced by excitement. He snatched the item his father secretly handed him, tucked it into his robe, and hurried toward the moonlit pavilion. Perfect. This was heaven sent. If he could just seal the deal, all his current troubles would vanish. The maidservant was gone, and that damned white-faced bodyguard was now here in sight. The crown prince had left now. The only person in that room was Qiao Wanyan. A frenzied grin spread across Shou Yu's face as he sprinted toward the moonlit pavilion. But as he neared the entrance, he abruptly slowed his pace, blending into the crowd of guests and slipping unnoticed upstairs. The door was slightly ajar. Peering through the gap, Shou Yu saw Qiao Wanyan dining alone inside. A sly smirk curled his lips as he carefully pulled out the knockout smoke from his robe. Ai Ming wandered into the room. He took a deep breath and blew. Shou Yu frowned. Why does it feel like nothing's coming out? He must not have blown hard enough. Drawing in another huge breath, he prepared to exhale with full force only for the smoke to rush back into his own mouth. Coughing violently, he staggered back as the potent fumes overwhelmed him. His eyes fluttered open and shut before he collapsed to the ground, unconscious. He had held the knockout smoke backward. Qiao Wanyan heard the commotion outside, but didn't bother to look. Instead, she casually raised a hand before continuing her meal. Moments later, a nondescript young man in dark gray robes slipped in through the window and neighed lady respectfully before her. He said nothing, but Qiao Wanyan didn't even glance at him as she ordered, "See what's happening outside." The secret guards trained by Minister Qiao had been watching the room the entire time. This was why Ziyuan had felt safe leaving. To be precise, they weren't just guards. They were death warriors. The guard opened the door to find a young man sprawled on the floor, unconscious. Noticing the knockout smoke tube still clutched in his hand, the guard wordlessly hauled him inside and shut the door. Qiao Wanyan arched a brow. Shou Yu? It's knockout smoke, but he must be held. It backward knocked himself out instead. Qiao Wanyan fell silent for a moment. Then she picked up a piece of steamed fish and took a bite. For some reason, It suddenly tasted even better. But what did Ho Yu plan to do after knocking me out? Put them back where it ways. Wait. The guard obeyed without question. Follow him in secret. I'm curious what this fool, who tried to drug someone but ended up drugging himself, is up to, and what else he stone. The guard nodded and vanished. As swiftly as he had appeared, Ho Yu soon woke up, disoriented and panicked. Peeking through the door crack, he saw Qiao Wanyan still eating but didn't dare barge in, afraid she'd scream and draw attention. Instead, he fled, determined to find another dose of knockout powder. But by the time he returned, Qiao Wanyan was already gone. Inside the carriage, Ziyuan, who had returned to escort her mistress, learned what had happened and was both furious and guilt-ridden. If only I'd come back sooner. Dave made sure that. Scheming Ho Yu lost his head. Miss, why didn't you just interrogate him on the spot? Qiao Wanyan replied leisurely. For some reason, I feel like he's hiding something I want to know. It's better not to act rashly. Human intuition was strange. She couldn't explain it, but she trusted it. Meanwhile, Zhang Qian, who had been dawdling on his way back to the Marquis' residence, was immediately ambushed by the old Marquis. Wielding a disciplinary rod, the elder Lai man chased his unfilial son through the estate with surprising vigor. Zhang Qian's vision darkened. Spotting a newly purchased steed, he leaped onto it and galloped out of the estate, throwing a taunting glance at his father only to crash into the Shangshu family's carriage. The carriage jolted violently, nearly throwing Qiao Wanyan off her seat. Zhang Qian, almost falling off his horse, didn't even notice the Qiao family's insignia on the carriage before grabbing the coachman's collar and yelling, "You blind? You crashed into me." The carriage door swung open. Zhang Qian froze when he saw who was inside. Before he could react, a slap struck his face. Back at the Marquis' estate, the old Marquis stood at the entrance, panting heavily. Soon, he saw his unlucky son return, disheveled with a glaring red handprint on his cheek. The old Marquis was furious. "Who hit you?" He squinted at the departing carriage in the distance, barely making out the Qiao family's lantern. The Qiao family? Zhang Qian shook his head, his expression oddly awkward. "I wasn't hit. She just patted my cheek." The disciplinary rod slipped from the old Marquis' grip. He stood there in stunned silence for a long time.